How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another Whitetail DNA video here. I'm sitting here with team member Garrett'S. We're going to do a hunt breakdown. We're going to start these hunt breakdown videos. Going to be doing a number of them this off season with Garrett'S buck, buck that I shot last year, my North Dakota one this year. Caleb's going to be filming one here. We'll be getting that out soon. And just kind of go through the story of how we actually shot these bucks. You know, the videos that you're watching and, you know, kind of that real time is just, you know, you're watching what happens, but we're not doing a ton of education explaining exactly what's going into it. And so that's what we're going to aim to do with these and hope to bring you a little more education on exactly how we're shooting some of these bucks. So first off, we're going to start with the buck that we called Owatonna that Garrett, you were able to arrow opening day, which was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy story.
I mean, really, this story starts last fall. I mean, we got permission on a new piece, and we were pretty pumped about it, I think.
Yeah.
And one of the first trail camera videos that we ever had with a big buck in it was this deer.
Yeah. And I remember trying to figure out that property. There's so many hiking trails in there.
Mm-hmm.
So hard to hunt because most of deer moving is based on people running through there.
Right.
Or walking, their dogs, chasing deer all around.
And we didn't realize that when we got it.
No.
Like, because it's private property, but these public hiking trails are essentially going interweaving all throughout this private property. And that was kind of one of the first things we had to learn was there's only certain spots where these bucks are, because they're still like crossing the trails, everything, but obviously you don't want to hunt 50 yards of a hiking trail.
Right. And that's what was hard because there's literally so many of them in there. It's hard to get a bit farther than 50 yards away from them.
Right. And as there was a ton of acorns on this property, so we got him just on kind of a little natural trail crossing where we had a bunch of deer, and he showed up, a handful of times in the summer, I think?
Yeah. Last summer? Yeah.
Yeah, last summer.
Yeah, for sure.
And, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say it kind of sucks because, well, if you're going to jump forward to this year, but the same story as last year that started to this year, but we were so focused with Babyface that this buck was kind of irrelevant, even though he was still a really nice deer last year.
Right, that is true. We were, last fall, and even like I said at the beginning of this fall, we were so focused on another deer here we're hunting, and that deer ended up getting shot, and I had never ended up talking about that deer because I was saving it for when we killed him, but we never killed him. But yeah, back to that, like, you're right. I mean, we didn't really put a lot of stock into him last year, even throughout the whole entire fall.
Right. And yeah, we should have. Well, I mean, it would have been harder last year because we didn't know as much as we know about him this year. Right.
We got some critical intel in October last year.
Yeah, that a guy had him on camera.
A bunch
10 days in a row in October.
Yeah, so if you're watching, you know who you are.
I didn't know why he didn't hunt him. But
yeah. But
it's funny, I was just actually talking to him today about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So we got that intel where pretty much he had him on camera in daylight a shitload in October.
Yeah.
And we figured he had to be bedding close, which was kind of on this little pie corner of this property we had. I mean, this is a property by permission.
It's actually a different one than we first got pictures of them.
True. I mean, so it's the same. It's right across the road, so it's the same. They're connected, exactly, pretty much. But it was an actual different property than when we initially got pictures of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was this little pie piece, and we threw up a cam there. I think it was like the third week of October, maybe last year.
Last year. Yeah.
And right when we put it up, we got a picture of him coming out of that piece right at the end of the daylight.
Yeah.
Right before, probably was during legal shooting hours.
Probably.
And I think right at that moment he had switched his pattern from his early fall pattern into more of his rut, and so we weren't able to capitalize on that pretty much.
Yeah, that was like the last daylight picture we ever got of him. The rest of it was, from what I remember, was all at night.
Right, because then we continued to get pictures of them all fall, but all at night. So that kind of sets up going into this year, because that little corner of this piece of private that we had permission on, we could only go so far, because then it got into public land where we hunt. You can only hunt certain public land, so we can't hunt that public land. And so that corner we circled, and going into this summer, we were kind of aiming as like, that's the spot we're gonna kill this deer.
Yeah, we put that. When was that? In the beginning of June? No.
Camera.
It's hard to tell. He had his main beams, but they were short. Yeah, when was that camera?
Yeah, it was sometime in June for sure. We put it up.
But yeah, right away we got pictures of him.
Yeah, we knew it was him.
Yeah, wide, and He just had little stubs on his rack, but you could tell it was definitely him.
Yeah.
We kept getting pictures of him all fall and everything, random times. And then I think, what was it? Time to hang stands.
When
you went and checked the camera, and it was on video mode too.
Oh yeah,
that gave
because
us some extra intel.
Because our cell cam, it would take one pic, send it to us, and then it would take the video.
Right.
And there was like all these videos because it took a couple blanks where we thought it was just nothing. And
or you could see tips of antlers. You couldn't tell anything.
And so we went from, pretty much most of the summer thinking he was coming through in daylight, like every so often, to like, holy crap, he was in daylight all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you calling me, you're like, dude, good thing you put that in video mode. There was like $3-4 along with this one that were pretty nice.
Yeah.
That we never got pictures of. We would only get, like you said, little tips of antlers or blank pictures.
Right, or a tail or hind quarter.
Right. Yeah, and then, what was it? The day before season it was the day of, so we shot our does.
Yeah, let's talk about that really quick. Like, before we go further into the story, like, to shoot an opening day buck where we hunt is pretty damn hard.
Yeah.
Because we hunt in city limits, and you've got to shoot a doe before you can shoot a buck. So we were lucky to get our does out that morning.
Yeah.
All right, I think I just got a doe down. It's opening day here in Minnesota. I've been surrounded by does all morning. They bedded down right there, so I think she went down right there. That means we're buck hunting, baby.
And then I think in the city too, there's like so many options for these bucks or any deer for that matter to go feed. Apple trees, oaks, grass, flowers, bird feeders, whatever it may be.
They've got, especially in September, there's just endless food for them.
Yeah.
And he was in daylight. I think the last time we had him in daylight was 3 or 4 days before opening day.
Yeah, something like that. I know it was really close.
And there was essentially, so let's kind of paint the picture of this, why we're sitting here. There's like you said, a pie almost shaped little piece of corner of this private. It's kind of tucked away from the hiking trail, even though the one that he actually had to cross before we shot him. But it's about as good as you can get when it's thick. You can be coming by where we were, and shoot where you shot him at, even though it was only where he was standing was probably 20-30 yards from a hiking trail.
Yeah.
But when it's so thick, like, he could have been standing there, people could have walked by and not
I'm guessing that's what he did. He watched literally those people walk by and then just stepped across. And you can be, like you said, I think it's even thicker than what you said. You could be 5 yards off that trail and not even see anybody or anything.
But where we're sitting, there's essentially a field on one side of us, a pond on another side of us, and then on the other side, there's a bunch of oaks and acorns. And he was kind of coming through there, and then, almost the field and pond served as a little funnel. So there was essentially a field, a pond, and a big swamp.
Yeah.
And we were in a little strip of timber. So for him to get from point A to where he wanted to feed, he'd have to come through this little piece of timber. And that's essentially where we set up. And there was 2 giant trails.
Right.
And we figured when he wasn't coming through on the one on cell cam, which in hindsight, if we would have done it again, I probably would have said we put another camera up.
Right.
Because there was 2 trails that came through on each side of the tree stand. And, both of them were beat up. And I think when he wasn't
on the
one for the camera, he was on the other one.
Yeah.
And we actually shot him, or you shot him on the trail, not in front of the camera.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we didn't even find that trail till we were cutting out those shooting lanes the day we hung the stand.
Right. So that's kind of why we were even in that property to begin with.
Yeah, and it's another weird thing too. This buck was kind of irrelevant our whole plan going into 2021 season. This buck was on a back burner. It was all about babyface, babyface. But then there's something weird that just clicked in our heads opening day after we shot that.
Those does.
Yeah, that were like. Man,
well, because we didn't really we wanted to kill babyface so bad, but we didn't really have a beat on him.
No.
Like, we did, but we didn't. And this deer, we figured there was only one tree stand we were going to kill him out of.
Yeah.
And the conditions weren't bad.
Oh, yeah, I actually do remember that now.
And
I was trying to think about that.
We had good conditions. We had once, and we actually didn't have the stand up because, so getting into the actual day more now, this stand, we actually hadn't hung the stand. We had the spot picked out, but we were trying to keep low impact as possible. That's why we had the cell cam. Didn't really go in there all summer.
Right.
And then once we figured we want to hunt it, we went in, hung the stand that afternoon, and we hung it. We got in there, cut the shooting lanes. It was, I don't know, 2, 3 o'clock maybe. Yeah. And when we were in there, we were like, once we hung the stand, we were like, holy smokes. Like, we just had that feeling. Like,
well, yeah, and we were trying to be as quiet the whole time,
yeah,
too.
like, we got out of there, that stand hung, and we were like, dude, I think we could kill him tonight. And so based on that, we had this, like, it's one thing I always say is follow your gut. And we had this gut feeling. I was going to go to a different stand or something, and we decided...
Just the north side of that property, because there was another good buck showing.
Right. And we figured that, well, let's get in there and hunt them. And we both wanted to hunt it, so we did a little friendly rock, paper, scissors. Garrett won, and then I decided to jump behind the camera, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It would actually been super hard to pull that shot off self-filming.
Yeah. I mean, it worked out.
The camera would have had to wrap all the way around.
I mean, it worked out literally as good as it
could have been. Yeah.
And so the night started, and we were in the stand. Just what's crazy is I think it's one of the only times that I've gotten to a tree stand. Like, every time you climb into a stand, you got to be confident that you're going to kill something. I mean, otherwise, why would you be hunting there?
Right.
But we were like beyond confident.
Mm-hmm.
We got into that stand and figured that we just kind of like almost assumed it was going to happen that night.
It was a weird feeling. It's a feeling that I've actually probably never had in my life. I was super confident for some reason.
And like, I was so nervous being behind the camera. I couldn't imagine like with you actually hunting. And I mean, you spotted them first, so let's kind of like, we were kind of going throughout the night, hadn't seen a deer, had some hikers come by, and then yeah.
Well, I think there was multiple hikers that went by.
Right.
But then there is, I don't know, they had a dog too, which is crazy, because the dog was running, wasn't just staying on the trail, but those hikers walked by, and I mean, I don't know how long it was after, but it was no more than 5 minutes.
Right.
5-10 minutes. And I seen something out of the corner of my eye, and I seen it looked like a nice buck, but I couldn't tell. And then you were trying to find him the whole time.
Yeah, I couldn't see him. All right, it's crazy when you're in a different levels, and you're like...
One you could see right there in that whole video. It's September, 17th?
Right, 18th, I think.
Yeah,
maybe.
Everything's green. Everything's as thick as it was in July.
Right.
And even, like you said, you're, 2, 3, 4, 5 feet above me. So the view is, like, completely different.
Yeah, and I couldn't see crap, and I was starting to get nervous. You know, he's coming.
And, like, I could barely see him. I could just see glimpses of him. And, I don't know when the first time you got him on camera there, is like, maybe 60 yards?
Oh, right there. When I first really got on camera, he was like you shot him right after.
Did you see him before that at all, really?
No.
Yeah.
So as soon as on camera, like in the actual video, we'll show right here, as soon as he is in frame, it's the first time I laid eyes on him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he was at 20-some yards.
Yeah, because I mean, he had to have been at least 100 yards in what that trail was coming across there.
Right.
And I don't know, it's hard for me to remember because I like black out because I like get so excited. I feel like a lot of people do that, but I just remember he was like right there and we had to stop. And I couldn't tell the whole time. I was asking you, is that him? Is that him? Is that him? I was like kind of blacking out, and I was trying to figure out all my bow hunting stuff, where to put my bow or my hand on the bow, and getting ready. And I think I stopped him.
And he's at what, 14?
Yeah,
15
something
yards?
like that. And I was holding there, and I remember he was looking back, and his head and antlers were in the way of his vitals for a little bit. And then I remember squeezing, and then I was pretty confident, and then you're like, I think it's back. And I was like, oh man, that sucks.
Is that him? Yeah, I'm ready, whatever.
Right.
So thick in here. If he comes by, it's gonna be like right there. And I looked to my left, and I was like, oh my god, that's him. He's coming down the hill.
It's funny watching back the footage because in my head when he released, it was like almost hind quarter.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy when it happens that fast.
Mm-hmm.
I was like so like worried and trying to like, I've been there where you get super pumped and then it ends up being a terrible shot.
Right.
And then watching the footage back, like, obviously it was a little bit back, but
Yeah.
it wasn't nearly. We knew that deer was going to die.
Right. And then, yeah, like, when you're in these thick woods, stuff happens so dang fast.
Yeah. And
Like,
we talked about that. We said if
Yeah.
it's going to happen, it's going to be like that.
Right. No time to think. We got down. Or we took our time. We were reviewing, talking. You were texting a couple of your breaking point buddies or whatever. Got down and looked for blood and didn't find any for like, the first 80 yards?
Yeah.
And then he jumped a little ravine and then it kind of broke open a little bit. And we're still worried about the shot. I remember backing out and coming here and looking at it on your big screen. And still weren't very confident with going after him that night. And we decided, I don't know if we decided that night, well, right then and there, once we were reviewing the footage, to just go back in the morning.
Yeah, we thought we'd play it safe, and with those shots that are a little bit back, like, we figured hopefully, lung, guts, it was going to be, some liver in there.
Right.
Back out, go back in the morning, and next morning we go in, the blood looked a little dried up, and
it was so hard to see. It was such dark blood on those leaves, and
it was like impossible. I mean, it turned into body search right off pretty much right away.
It was just that dark blood, and the canopy was so dark in there. We got there right at daybreak.
Probably a little too early.
Yeah, probably.
But it was going to be really hot that day.
Oh yeah, it was.
So the day we killed him, it was cool out.
Yeah.
But it wasn't going to be super hot, and so in a shot like that, we were trying to salvage, hopefully find them before it got hot, so we could still salvage them, the meat and everything.
Yeah, that blood maybe lasted 20 more yards after that.
Right. And then, we broke out the body search, and, you had said hopefully we'd find him within a couple hours. I think we found him within a couple minutes.
Yeah.
He ended up not going very far.
And I remember, I think I was back with Seth talking. I was like, this sucks so bad.
Well, that's just emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, Seth's like, dude, I think it has to be a dead deer. I mean, it's not looking very good, but the shot's not that bad. And yeah, we all talked about it. It didn't look that bad. I mean, obviously it's not the greatest shot, but it wasn't that bad. And then I think you, Madison, Cole, my dad just all split off.
Yep.
And my dad comes back, and I think he said, man, it's not looking too good, is it? And I was like, God, that sucks. No, it's not. And then he opens his arms. He's like, I just want to be like the first one to congratulate you, and hugged me. And then we were laughing. I didn't believe him, obviously, at first.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, he's just right down here, and just take this hiking trail, which you can see in that video. And he's right up there on the left-hand side. He's like, I didn't even look at him. I just seen horns. I turned around. So, and then we all gathered up there and went and found him.
That's like the best feeling, like, for me being split off, hearing that, got him!
Yeah.
I always start sprinting.
Yeah. Did you make it? Were you on top of the hill?
Yeah.
I don't even remember where everyone
I was way up there. I was up by Madison. We were a ways away. Yeah, walking up on him, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, that was sweet.
We knew he was big, but he got bigger.
Yeah, there's no ground shrinkage with him. It was whatever the opposite of that is.
Yeah, ground growage.
Yeah.
He was a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Shit, he's bigger today than when...
Yeah, like I just picked him up last night and I called Alex. I was like, dude, he's bigger than I remember. I mean, I haven't seen him. This is the first... Besides last night, this is the first time I've seen him since I dropped him off that day.
I mean, so he's a mainframe 9 with a kicker. Couple little kickers, and we taped him really rough tape, about 155. I mean, we don't take scoring like mega seriously, but we threw a tape on him, and for a mainframe 9, that's pretty damn big.
And it's crazy, like, since it's such an early season, like, none of these little detailed points broke off.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
The rack's immaculate.
Yeah. Like, even these little beads, I don't know what they're called, but they're even, like, pointed and sharp.
Right. Oh,
Which, you shoot this deer in November, all this stuff's probably going to be worn down, broken off.
And he just obviously had started rubbing a little bit of bark in his antlers. And
yeah, pretty cool. First one ever with a kicker, flyer point, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah, that's pretty identifiable. I mean, that's... And then our buddy, they found his sheds last year.
Yeah.
Kind of just by happenstance, didn't even really know of them. And he put on quite a few inches.
Yeah, it's funny, because he was walking in this way, how I didn't see this, but like I was saying, I just blacked out. I was so excited.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome.
But I think that hang and hunt, or whatever you want to call it, first time being in there.
Being mobile.
Intrusive on the piece of little chunk we were in, because it's not very big, like you said. It's, I don't even know, a couple acres maybe?
That little piece, yeah.
So you can't be just going in there and just cutting everything out of there.
Right.
Making these big, huge...
Honestly, if we would have hung the stand a week before, it's conceivable that we could have effed it up.
Might have messed him up for sure.
Because I think he was coming through there on a daily basis. Really do. If not, close to.
Because that trail we ended up shooting him on, that thing was beat down to the ground, dirt. So there's multiple deer on that.
Right.
And yeah, he probably, when he wasn't going to the trail camera or the trail A, he was going to trail B definitely every single night.
I mean, looking at this hunt and how we were able to make it happen and going forward, what would you say your biggest takeaway from it was? Your biggest learning experience from being able to put this buck down?
I would say even though we really weren't being mobile, we were planning on putting that stand in there the whole year. It was just the fact that we put it in there that day and we were being quiet and just basically acting like it was a first time in sit. You're gonna go in there and come out.
So essentially, when you got that right spot, waiting for the right time, and which happened to be opening day for us, and being the first time in.
Right. I really truly believe that is a huge factor in shooting bigger deer. Because just look at my North Dakota buck last year.
Yeah, that was first time in,
That was the first time in that spot, too. Well, first time, I guess in that tree, too.
Right.
But because then you're not leaving all that ground scent. I know people beat it all the time into people that just scent, going in there for the first time and not being super intrusive. But I actually, it's happened twice in a year for me.
Right.
I believe in that. And then just I think that every buck can be patternable. Just using those trail cameras and using past year's history and using funnels too helps big time for making these deer patternable.
See, I think my biggest takeaway, to add to the first time in, would be that historical data.
Yeah, for sure.
We would not have killed him had it not been for what we learned the year prior.
Right.
So we went into this past fall assuming he was going to stick to a similar pattern, assuming we made all these assumptions, and they're not always going to be right.
No.
The deer can always change, but with Babyface is a great example. We could never figure him out all the way, but with this deer, all those assumptions we made were correct. That historical data, really led us to where we were that opening day. We didn't just go in on a whim or from a couple of trail camera videos. So it's not as simple as always toss from a camera, go in and hunt. But based on all that stuff we learned the year prior, we were able to use that information to kill him.
And I feel like a little bit of luck too.
That's always gonna rather be lucky than good.
Because like we were saying, those hikers walked by, their dog could have bumped this deer out of this bed and chased it the complete opposite way.
Yeah, exactly.
And who knows? He could have been watching them the whole time.
Right.
He probably was, to be honest. We never once found his bed.
No, I bet he was.
God, he had to have heard us, you'd think. I don't know.
I mean, he could have conceivably been bedded a couple 100 yards even.
True.
Either way, we were quiet enough where he definitely wouldn't have been able to see us.
Right.
From wherever he was bedded.
Right.
So.
In that field, there's so much commotion.
Right.
That was probably sounded pretty similar to what we were doing.
Yeah, because we weren't too far off of it. So yeah, that's the breakdown, I guess, of Owatonna.
Yeah.
It was a hunt that I'll remember forever. And
yeah, for sure.
Being able to be in the tree with you was pretty special that day. And so we're going to have more of these coming. Hopefully this helped somewhat, just kind of us talking through it, kind of our thought process on why we were hunting, where we were, and kind of what we did. And I don't know if you got anything else to add, but if not, or if you do, you got anything else to add?
No,
Yeah.
I don't.
All right, well, if not, yeah, so please hit that like and subscribe button. We got more videos coming. Appreciate you watching, and yeah, we'll see you here on the next video.